TW here. We have David Lynch expert, or more or less, Sam joining us. We're talking about the late great director and artiste. It's quite a good in-depth chat. Sam really is the guest to talk about this man. We go across his filmography, we talk about his work in art more broadly, and of course it ran over time. Therefore, it's in two parts. I hope you enjoy our chat, and as always, spoilers ahead.
Hello, Sam. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You are on a very short exclusive list.
Yeah.
You may not be aware. People who've been in every series, including Series 0, the otherwise known as the pilot series, when I didn't know how to record properly.
Yeah.
You've been in every series now.
Well, as I should.
Yeah.
I mean, I just need to, you just need to come back for my wisdom.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, but the fact that you're in all three series means that so far, that's a list of only you and Nate, although I hope that list will extend shortly. So you're one of the elite of this highly amateur production.
Well, thank you for constantly asking me, for asking me back again and again.
No worries at all.
And
but
indulging me in my love of talking about film.
Yeah, and we're better to do it than a podcast with a fellow nerd, I suppose.
Yeah.
What could we talk about? Oh, I don't know. David Lynch, maybe? What do you reckon?
David Lynch, I think, let's talk about David Lynch.
Yeah, why not? And by coincidence, we have some paraphernalia here.
Yeah.
If I may, I'd like to start with an excerpt from this book that I got from someone who looks and sounds a lot like you.
Yeah.
It's called Images, and it's from, I think, about 1994. It includes work up to 1994.
Yeah.
Because, of course, Lynch wasn't just a film, television creator of art. He did all sorts of things. So this has quite an array. And he basically, let's see if I can find, there's a great little excerpt. Here it is, on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, if I may, because I think this sums up David Lynch in a weird kind of way, because he's not talking about film, but anyway, I'll let this speak for itself. Jay Leno, well, let's talk about the gallery showing. David Lynch, I've got a show at the James Corcoran Gallery in Santa Monica, 5 blocks from the edge of the United States. Leno, we know that part. What is it about? Lynch, it's a showing of paintings, drawings, and photos. Leno, we have a photo here. Lynch, no, don't show that photo yet. Leno, all right. You need some explanation? Lynch, I wanted to tell you about my Ricky boards. The Ricky board helps to explain the B board, which you're about to see. The Ricky board is my idea, right or wrong, of what the Japanese might do to organize controlled accidents in a formal environment. Now, if you happen to turn the page, you see exactly one of these Japanese Ricky boards. And listeners, if you see it, it still doesn't help much for what on earth he's talking about. But the B board is quite literally just B's pinned to a board, and he's got them all laid out in rows, and he's given them names like Don, Steve, and Bob, and so on. Anyway, he continues. Leno says quite appropriately, I'm a bit lost. Lynch, now it's time to show, this is a photo of a bee board, which is helpfully right here in the book. Leno, oh, it's bees. Lynch, yeah, in the Ricky boards, you make these little rubbings and make 4 rows of 5. Then you're to name your Ricky in this case, there are 4 rows of 5 bees, and each of the bees is named, as you can see. I thought it would be interesting to show a close-up of that, and if Brentford would play just a little bit of bee music, it would be unbelievably fantastic. Leno, it's amazing what a difference some music makes. There it is. I have no idea how to sum up David Lynch, and I thought that interview did as good a job as any. He was quirky. He was odd. We speak past tense, of course, because as we speak now, it's not long. We've just passed the 12-month anniversary of his death. By the time this episode goes out, it'll be a bit later, naturally. But I always thought of him as a filmmaker and eventually realized, he was quite heavily embedded in television. And then upon reading this other book, which I've got here called David Lynch, His Work, His World, by what's the name?
Tom Huddleston.
Tom Huddleston, which is a new book. And he started writing it only months before Lynch died, and finished it, and it came out just a few months after. Quite quite an easy read. It doesn't go into every little detail, but it makes sure it goes across every part of his major works. And that's when I really appreciated the man was a real artist in the more broad sense. He created art, and it didn't matter what it was. Most people specialize naturally, and he wasn't interested. I think there's no one way to define him. Probably more people have connected with his film and television work, but I don't know how else to sum up the man.
Well, I think now this is going to sound like an odd statement to anyone who is really familiar with David Lynch's films, but I think his film work is probably his most accessible.
Yeah,
all the work he's done.
Yeah. Well, when you look
I
at,
think
some of this art has, a fish that he's cut into pieces and pinned to a board, for example. So yeah.
I think we also need to mention, he was a furniture designer. He was.
Yeah. He was very good with his hands. He would craft props for sets and films and so on.
So if you look at Lost Highway, all the furniture in one of the locations was made by David Lynch.
Right. It's not the coffee table where someone gets impaled on it, is it?
Oh, I don't think so, no.
that didn't look like a Lynch. It looked like a pretty conventional coffee table.
Yeah, I think so.
Albeit with a head wedged in it.
And I think one of those locations was actually his house.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
He also made music. He's released about 3 or 4 albums.
Yeah, and relatively late, as in like the official music of David Lynch came relatively late, but he was tinkering with sound and he would hire people for sound in his movies.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, say, John Carpenter, who did a lot of his own scores.
No.
Not all, but a lot. So he'd have people there, but he'd work with them.
Yeah.
And I know some of the work on, for example, Eraserhead took a very long time to put together, and some of them are considered works of art in their own right. So, his connection with music goes back quite a way. I should just mention, so we've got some parameters, I suppose. We are going to focus on a few specific works, but we're going to, I guess we'll talk everything film and television Lynch, but we'll focus on just a few, lest we be here for days, probably. So I guess I'll just mention briefly. So we'll start with Eraserhead. That seems quite logical, not just because it's his first film, but I guess the lead up to that is that he was already doing art. He was doing paintings and he did short films as early as I think about 1964 from memory. Yes. So quite early, very early. He was born in, I want to say 1946. So he's one of the early baby boomers. He's actually conceived before the war ended. Yeah. Born in 1946. So you're talking in the early 1960s. So he's quite a young man. And so Eraserhead was technically late 1970s, but it started in the early 1970s. I gather it took 3 or 4 years to put together.
I think it actually, it took a long time. I think maybe 7 years.
Probably from early conception, perhaps, because they had to stop filming at one point. They ran out of money. Yeah. And it was possible they would never see the light of day. And for anyone who before we get into Eraserhead, briefly, I would like to know a little bit about your background with David Lynch. Do you remember the first David Lynch thing that you saw?
Okay. So first encounter I had with David Lynch. So I had just finished high school. I had a party at my place. I was driving some people home. I came back and I saw a group of friends who turned on the television and they had watched the final episode of Twin Peaks.
Oh, as in the big twist finale of season 2.
And I saw that final moment and the impact that David Lynch and that this show had on my friends.
So you hadn't seen it?
I had not seen it. And then...
What a way to start with the last 5 minutes.
But what it did was make me go, hang on. If this can have an effect on so many people and end up with that wonderful moment. Yeah. I need to watch this.
Yeah, okay. So you were hooked pretty much from the beginning.
I was hooked from that moment.
Right.
And then I had to go back and hunt video stores
Yes, in the pre-internet
in the
days.
pre-internet, pre-DVD days.
Yes, so you had to get an expedition
Yeah.
together, some supplies,
Yeah.
hike
Go-
into a mountain.
Yeah, hike down to the other side of Warwick, and find literally sort of two VHS cassettes of
Yeah, whatever
first
they
part
happen
of
to
season one,
right.
and so over the holidays I did this. Then I bought the entire season without the pilot,
Oh,
and then
okay.
throughout, first, second, and third year, I would watch Twin Peaks on end. I'll get to the end, I'll watch it from the beginning again.
Wow.
And then
So Twin Peaks got you hook, line, and sinker.
hook, line, and sinker. And during that time, I also then started watching his other things like Eraserhead. Lost Highway came out during that time.
Oh, right.
And I saw it about 6 times at the cinema.
Wow, okay.
Okay. Then in 2015, I was doing an honours year, and I was lucky enough to go to a talk that he gave to creatives in Brisbane.
I've seen little snippets of his talks online, and I want to explore more. He just sounds like one of the most fascinating people to listen to.
Yeah.
Because he'll talk a lot, but he'll also hold back. So
Yeah.
there's always this air of mystery, appropriately, for the man who makes predominantly mysteries.
Yeah.
So
And in every sense of the word.
mm,
I mean, okay, yes, there is the mystery of who killed Laura Palmer,
yeah.
but there is so much more mystery going on. And at some point it's going, the mystery is, what on earth am I watching?
Yeah, at some
And
point.
in the best way possible.
Yeah, at some point it spirals into what's going on.
Yeah.
I had a very different approach.
Yeah.
I have never seen I've not seen a single thing fresh, shall we say. So I came to Lynch quite late, except for being a Frank Herbert fan. I watched Dune quite a lot. But I had no idea that was David Lynch. I had no idea who that meant. I had no idea that he was in the film. I only learned that that's what David Lynch looks like in, I don't know, the last 5 or 10 years. And went, oh, especially young, because I'd see older interviews. I didn't recognize he's in that movie. And I was aware of Twin Peaks, but I didn't really know what it was. And in the days of the internet, then I would sort of read things. And only during the COVID lockdowns, I went down to the local library and said, stuff it, I'm going to watch Twin Peaks. And pretty much that was it. So thanks to the lockdowns. And since then, I've then gone back and seen almost everything as far as film and television. And I can tell you the moment so I enjoyed watching Twin Peaks, but the moment where I said, oh, wow, was Twin Peaks: The Return, which we'll get to later, because that was a really transcendent moment for me. Then I said, this is what television can be. And by that point, it was already about 3 or 4 years old. But anyway, so I'm late to the party.
And was it that episode, God Alight?
Yeah. Episode 8, I believe it is. So we definitely need to talk about that.
Yeah.
The advantage here is a lot of this is fresh, and therefore you and I have very different takes on this. So apart from Dune, I've seen everything Lynch within probably the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And that was quite systematic, especially in the last month leading up to this, saying I need to track these things down. So Eraserhead. I did see that a few years ago now.
Yep.
And I remember, and people were always talking about it, of course, if you're a fan of cinema, I mean really a fan. So for example, the lads on Red Letter Media did an entire episode on Eraserhead and an entire episode on Twin Peaks, including The Return and so on and so forth. So Jay Bowman is a big David Lynch fan. And because he's known as a bit of kind of the weirdo of that trio, he watches the more alternative things. So I tend to take his advice more on film watching. So I went in and watched it, and Eraserhead, you said something off mic before about it. If you show any frame of that movie, then on the one hand, if people know cinema, they'll recognize it. But more importantly, you can point to it and go, there's something very Lynchian about every frame.
Yeah.
And that's probably more true of Eraserhead than probably anything else he's done. Certainly most things.
Yeah.
I don't know where to begin with Eraserhead. I guess, well, quick plot summary. Man and wife have a baby that looks like an alien. They freak out. She leaves. He tries to raise the child, is deeply distressed, and it leads to a rather disturbing ending. That's probably the most succinct and coherent explanation.
We should also point out that the baby was born 8 months premature. There is you constantly hear it cry.
Again, the soundtrack. The soundtrack of this film is remarkable. And since reading about it too, and I think I've had it explained to me more, so I need to go back and watch this film again and really pay attention. It's oppressive. Would that be appropriate term, you think?
I'd say that, yeah.
Yeah. And so even that memory, even though it's been a few years, that I still remember it. And like most soundtracks, it's not like you can't point to one thing. Were they close to a train station? Was it the trains going past?
Yeah, it was very industrial.
Yeah.
So
That's a very big thing for Lynch, which comes up in his other films, and his photography.
Yep.
He's big on, and I think it's in his first 3 or 4 projects. There's a very strong sense of industrial, decay in some cases.
Yeah.
So they're living in poverty, basically, this couple. And there's factories around, and I gather that they were filming in actual industrial areas in some parts. And certainly replicating it in the sets. Going through plot with the Lynch films is not really the point, I think.
I think if you're looking for, the plot, and if you're looking for a linear narrative,
don't go to Lynch.
Don't go to Lynch.
Yeah.
And I think you're missing the point.
Yeah.
With Lynch, I think you almost need to just sort of forget everything that you know about story.
You need to unlearn cinema a little bit.
Unlearn it a bit and just embrace it.
Yeah. And you either embrace the void that is Lynch, or you bounce right off it. He's a very divisive filmmaker.
He is.
And Eraserhead's no different. On the off chance anyone's listening who hasn't seen it, I won't spoil the very, very ending. But you do see him eventually. He unwraps the baby, and you do finally see the baby and its innards, and it's all, and it's really distressing. And I remember watching it, I think when my wife was pregnant or something like that, and it's not a good time to watch that film, by the way. But when it comes to what is the message or what drove Lynch, it's probably the most obvious. It's very obviously a man distressed about fatherhood. But there's still more to it than that. There's one of the things at the end, which it's hard to spoil because there's so many abstract things, but the idea of this woman living in the radiator just comes out and they embrace and seemingly go to heaven or something.
And she's got that song, but also the weird things.
Her face is deformed. Yeah. So there's definitely things going on, and some of it is just images he sees in a dream and puts it in there.
Yeah.
Sometimes he doesn't know the meaning. Often he does. I know that he wrote, I think, an autobiography, and there's one page. It's like about the coffee cup, and you turn to it, and it just says, "I have no idea what it meant," about, in reference to something in one of his films. But my favorite quote of his, apart from that Jay Leno exchange, when he said, "Eraserhead's my most spiritual film." Interviewer says, "Explain," and he says, "No." And on the one hand, that's very revealing because there's something that he is spiritual. He's not just saying, "I'm distressed about parenthood." There's something he's really connected with here, but that's also typically Lynch. He said, "No, to his death, I will not explain in intimate detail what's going on, because his films and television are not every second of every frame, but they are abstract art."
Yeah.
And when you see abstract art, as in a painting on a wall, if somebody says, "This is what every stroke means," you take away the subjective experience of art.
I would say you take away the agency of the audience.
Yeah, that's it. So, and death of the author. And he's the ultimate example of that principle of death of the author, meaning that it doesn't matter what the author of a text felt. It's all about the audience. If you take that to the full extreme, and Lynch seemed to be fully on board with that. So I know he became quite philosophical when his films would fail, which they generally did. And some of them, like Fire Walk with Me, bothered him deeply. But then later on, things would fail, and he'd go, "Oh well, people say it's this or that," and you got violence in there. He's like, "Well, there's violence in the real world.
Yeah.
Just move on." And he doesn't take it too much to heart. He's not like, "No, this is what I meant by that film."
Yeah.
He's not there defending his view. He just makes it, and it's up to you.
Yeah. So I think in that sense, he's really taking, I'd say, the approach of an artist.
Yes.
So he knows what it means to him.
Yeah.
But he's allowing the viewer to come up with their own interpretations and engage with the work on a deeper level.
Yeah, deeper, subjective, personal level. I mean, when you ask him what's a film, he just say, "Well, it's about, like what's Blue Veil? Oh, it's a mystery about blah blah blah." He'll just give a brief plot synopsis, and that's all I want to say about it. Is usually how we would end it.
Yeah. Now, talking about Eraserhead. Now, you mentioned you'd seen it. You first saw it when your wife was pregnant. So I've not had children, and so that sort of gives you a sort of another understanding that I cannot have, which is
that's the point, right?
That's the point.
Yeah.
But that also reminds me of a quote from Mel Brooks about Eraserhead.
Appropriately, because we'll come to him in a sec. Yeah.
Mel Brooks is quite important in the story of David Lynch.
Yeah.
And he said, "I'm watching Eraserhead. That is a man who knows what it's like to have children."
Yes. Yeah.
And it's one of those films which you could say is funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the same time, it's disturbing.
Yes, it has, and that's something that goes through Lynch. He has a wonderful sense of humour, and I won't say everything he's made, but I'd say a vast majority of the film and television has at least some humour in it. And also, which we'll get to with some particular projects, but there's a certain small town naivete. Like, he grew up in the 50s, and a lot of the characters, and especially like Gordon Cole, the man he plays in all three Twin Peaks. Is it Twin Peaks 1?
He's definitely there.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's series 1 or 2. I knew he's
definitely season 1 and 2.
Yeah, and he's one of the main characters.
He's in Fire Walk with Me, and he's one of the main characters of
the
Twin Peaks Return. Yeah.
Whereas it's just a cameo to start with, but he speaks like Lynch. He's got he's got that real 50s kind of vocabulary.
Yeah,
and I think there is a bit of a nostalgia and for 50s Americana, especially small town or small city Americana. But then, of course, he layers in the cynicism and his analysis of the human condition within. And he's not too... I mean, if you were going to promote humanity to aliens, you wouldn't have sent David Lynch as our ambassador, I guess is what I'm saying. He's very aware of the darker side of human nature.
He's very aware of the darker side. He's also aware of the absurdity.
Yeah. Because you got to laugh at us, right?
Yeah,
this is insane.
I would say, he is also aware of the lighter side.
Yeah. Light and dark.
Light and dark.
Sure.
And you need that contrast, and he does that really well.
Yeah, and Eraserhead probably does it better than most of his films. I won't say it's his best, but the fact that there is some humour in it.
Yeah.
But it's clearly a darker, depressing sort of meditation on at least sort of that stage of his life, and among other things. It's definitely one of the films I recommend more than most, but selectively to a mainstream audience. Eraserhead. I mean, it wasn't a mainstream hit. No. It was what do you call it? The midnight circuit. Universities got into it, so the college film students would analyze it. So it feels like it was in that context, it was a hit from day one. But it was, I don't think, ever a mainstream hit.
No, I think it became, I would say, if you're going to call it a hit, it became a hit because of it was the first David Lynch film.
Yeah. So people would go back to it later.
People go back to it.
Yeah, and it's never been out of print, so to speak. It's always been around.
And it was big influence on other filmmakers. So
Yeah. The ripple effect of Eraserhead is probably stronger than anything else he did, which is a big call because some of his other stuff had, but probably Eraserhead, or at least from that era anyway.
Yeah, definitely from that era.
Yeah.
But Stanley Kubrick, said it was his favourite film.
Yeah.
We've already talked about Mel Brooks.
Yes.
George Lucas apparently loved it.
Yeah. I mean, these are people who were already established, but nevertheless, the impact on them, I don't think you can overstate it. But we'll just mention briefly, he does have, we won't focus on, but we'll mention the next couple of films. Elephant Man, produced by Mel Brooks. So Mel Brooks, I guess, because what do you do? What does Hollywood do with the director of Eraserhead? I don't think Hollywood had a damn clue what to do with him.
No.
And Mel Brooks said, let's work together. And from what I gather, they said, here's a few projects. And when he heard Elephant Man, The Outsider, and he just went, yes. Lynch said, yes, I want to do that film. And in so many ways, it feels like such an odd fit for Lynch. But once you see the film, if you haven't seen the film, it is a remarkable film.
It is.
It's probably his most approachable, I think, as far as like narrative and so on. And
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah, the emotional journey.
I mean, that's where he started getting Oscar nominations. And
he went kind of mainstream to an extent.
Yeah.
The industrial stuff we're referring to is definitely there.
Yeah.
He starts to build his repertoire of people he works with, like what's his name, Freddie Jones, who ends up being on Dune and other projects. But the people behind the scenes in Eraserhead are staying with him, so he's keeping his people with him.
Well, Jack Nance, who plays main character in Razorhead, is up in every film until Jack Nance died.
Yeah, late 90s did he die, I think? He died relatively young.
Yeah, he died relatively young. It was after he'd done Lost Highway, but before he'd done
Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive.
Okay.
Don't know if he has a cameo in the Straight Story.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure.
But I haven't watched that yet.
I didn't. Yeah, no, it's on my wish list for my watch list on Mubi. I went, it just arrived on Mubi, so thanks, Mubi. Free promotion there. And I didn't realize he was in Dune. I didn't recognize him in Dune. But again, I didn't know him all that well. So Elephant Man comes out, is a huge success, a wonderful film. Then he makes a little film called Dune.
Sorry, I don't know that film. Could you explain it to me?
No. I don't really. I am going to do an episode later about Dune adaptation, so there's no need to elaborate. It's not a Lynch film. There are Lynch things in it. I think the only thing we need to say is this was his retreat from mainstream Hollywood, and I will only ever work with Final Cut sort of thing, although that didn't always happen. But the idea that he would fight for that and would want ultimate say led him out of mainstream Hollywood, because Hollywood is a business.
Yeah.
And that's probably why his Hollywood trilogy is so cynical. It's so dark. And so we'll get to that shortly.
Yeah. I think if there's anything we're going to talk about with Dune, it's the first time he's worked with Kyle MacLachlan.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Kyle MacLachlan and Dino De Laurentiis was the producer, of course, and he did produce Twin Peaks, which came out next, which some have suggested was him saying...
It was actually Blue Velvet. Sorry.
Blue
Velvet.
Blue Velvet. Sorry.
And
this is where my wires cross. So De Laurentiis produced Blue Velvet, which of course was critical because after Dune, Hollywood has this funny thing where you can fail up in Hollywood, even back in the 80s, because kind of like CEOs for a big company, even if you do something really wrong, people go, but at least you know the system. Yeah. Because just directing a big movie is hard work. So Lynch came out with the experience that he could helm significant productions, even though by all accounts, he didn't handle it very well, even by his own account. Yeah. He was too green for it. And so he could have gone and done some other big productions.
Well, George Lucas did ask him to direct Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And Lynch basically said, no, this is your vision. Why don't you direct it?
Yeah. Yeah, and ultimately Lucas did end up having to direct a little bit of it because they were running on time. I can't even remember who directed Return of the Jedi, but I know Lucas did some second unit stuff. And that's the thing to remember, of course, with Lucas, not to diverge too much, but he wasn't much of a director. He was a producer.
Yeah, great producer.
Very good producer.
And, if you look at where Lucas, the kind of filmmaking technology Lucas funded and helped pioneer, it is amazing. His influence on the technological side of film.
Yeah, absolutely. Revolutionary.
Yeah.
But his actual directing credits, not so great. Production credits?
Yeah. I would say
very
he's
good.
Definitely a great producer.
Yeah. No doubt.
And I think his direction and I think his writing isn't as strong as, it was when he did I think he peaked with A New Hope or the original Star Wars.
Yeah, I think he understood some of the broad brushstrokes of writing, and then he just kind of seemed to forget about that as time went by. Yeah. But so the idea that there were these, the multiple paths that Lynch's career could have taken is really interesting. But I still feel like we ended up on the best timeline.
I think we have too.
He carved his own path.
Yeah.
And for someone like him, that's critical.
Yeah.
So Blue Velvet, just mentioned briefly. I finally saw Blue Velvet. I mean, I like Kyle MacLachlan. Why did it take so long to see it?
Yeah.
I finally saw it last week. And I would say it is pretty approachable. It's pretty, it's not anywhere near as complex as his stuff gets later, but there's still layers of Lynch in it, like the physical abuse by
Dennis Hopper's character.
Dennis Hopper, thank you. Why does his name fall out of my brain all the time? I don't know.
I don't know. Same thing happens to me. Maybe his excessive drug use has just sort of permeated to everyone else.
The ether, yeah. So Dennis Hopper is a very confronting character, and there's definitely some Lynch stuff in it. The bugs underneath the lawn, of course, is that.
I was going to say, if we're going to talk about anything with Blue Velvet, you've got to think about that opening shot.
Yeah.
With the guy on the lawn, sort of hosing the lawn.
Yep.
He has the heart attack, and then camera pans down.
Yeah.
And we see underneath, and you see all the bugs on the lawn, and that's.
It's the metaphor for this beautiful suburbia, but underneath there's something.
Yeah.
And then in one of the final shots, you see a bird has picked up one of the bugs, to sort of implying they have removed some of the nastiness. And it's probably got one of the more, as far as here's a problem and we've kind of solved the problem, because a lot of his movies just don't end the way you think they would or should, and it's like he had 1 foot in mainstream Hollywood, and 1 foot very much on the other side as well. So it's pretty approachable, I would say, for his works, and it leads beautifully into Twin Peaks, and having seen them the other way around, you can see the connection. Yeah,
I would say it is the template for Twin Peaks.
Yeah, he said, let's inject more into it, and the mysteries and all the rest, because Twin Peaks and Blue Velvet are both mysteries.
Yeah.
They're absolutely mysteries. That's the point.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. But Twin Peaks focuses on the mystery. Blue Velvet focuses on the mystery, and Twin Peaks, the mystery of who killed Laura Palmer, is an excuse for the show to take place.
Yeah.
And Lynch famously said he never wanted to reveal who killed Laura Palmer, because that's not why we're here.
Yeah.
And he was strong-armed into that, and I think he really hated the fact that the killer is finally revealed. Weirdly, 2/3 of the way through season 2 or something, or
I think it's maybe even 1/3.
Well, fair enough. But the point is that you'd think that would be the conclusion, and here's the big reveal: the killer is caught, and then the show just kind of keeps going like a soap opera.
Yeah, and Twin Peaks definitely drew on the soap opera genre.
Yeah, naturally, because there's a soap opera within the soap opera, which is the humor again.
Yeah.
The small town wackiness. You got a woman with an eye patch who's a psychotic individual.
And at one point, she manages to get superhuman strength.
Yeah.
And
weirdly
lose her memory.
Yes. It's the amnesia storyline. And it's so delightfully wacky. I mean, you either spend hours talking about Twin Peaks to go through everything, or you just brush across the surface, because there's so much.
Yeah.
But I guess perhaps instead of talking about the artistic stuff, because you really just, if you haven't watched it, you just got to go out and watch it.
Yeah.
But season 1 and 2, of course, famously, season 1's relatively short, and I don't think we need to qualify it too much. It feels like everyone likes season 1. Season 2 goes off the rails a bit. Lynch was already working on other projects.
Yeah.
Even before season 1 came out, actually, he was like, he didn't think season 1 would get picked up. So he started working on other projects, and then it got picked up, and he's gone, oh, cripes.
Yeah.
And by season 2, he's away, and he sort of comes back, and he tries to right the ship a little bit.
Well,
and ratings drop, and it just kind of fades away.
Yeah.
It goes on too long.
It goes on too long because of that decision by, not David Lynch.
No, not Lynch.
By the executives to reveal who killed Laura Palmer.
Yeah, and then that becomes a focus, whereas it should be character focus. It's very much, he seems to be saying, this is sort of the human condition in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And then we analyze the human condition by looking at these different characters, and he just wants to revel and roll around in that. Yeah. And that got taken away from him, basically.
Yeah. And what he does brilliantly in Twin Peaks is he's got this character, Dale Cooper, who's the FBI agent who comes in to...
Yeah, played by Kyle MacLachlan.
Come in and...
Gee whiz, he's that optimistic sort of...
the,
super cheery,
good American.
Yeah. But sort of like the boy next door American.
Yeah.
So he goes and gets the job done, but he's also there is a certain naivety to him.
He's also the moral code.
Yeah.
So he's the one that everyone wants to look up to.
Yes, that's right. So he's not bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and young like because in Blue Velvet he's playing a high school student, which is funny because earlier he played Paul Atreides, and they're trying to make him look more mature there. So you go 3 years later, they're trying to make him look younger. Yeah. Whatever, we get there in the end.
But then in Twin Peaks, he's probably what his age was.
Yeah, he would have been 30 by then, maybe. Yeah. So,
don't know.
Something like that. Because he was in his early 20s in June. So he would late 20s, maybe 30.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, but he looks his age. He acts his age.
Yeah,
and he's seen some stuff as an FBI agent, but at the same time, he's still kind of you're off. And
so I would say he's almost a little bit like Columbo.
Yeah.
So he's there is he's got the big coat, he's got the black suit. He's almost putting people off guard by his approach.
Yes.
And yet there are moments you see that he can be hard nosed when he needs to be.
Yeah, that's right. There is something more to him.
Yeah.
So there is a sense of an illusion to some extent.
And no one ever gets anything past him.
No, that's right.
So he can always tell what's going on.
Yeah.
And yet, so he is a great conduit to explore the darkness.
And because he's the outsider, of course. He arrives to investigate Laura Palmer, her death, because that's our opening shot, basically, is her body. Yeah. And... and it just kind of, even he gets lost along the way. Like there's so many other things going on. So exploring these characters, and Lynch clearly, when we come back to The Return, there's clearly love by Lynch of these characters. But I'm interested to hear your views on Fire Walk with Me, because for a little bit of context here. So the show was planned to be like a soap opera and just run for years.
Yeah.
It clearly doesn't.
Yeah.
It fails by mainstream metrics, by business metrics. The ratings drop.
And yet, I think we really have to mention the cliffhanger at the end of the season 2.
Yes.
Which is, again, the one I
see
that very end
I guess we do need to mention this explicitly. Well, do you want to explain the ending? We got the Red Room.
Okay, so in Twin Peaks we have the darkness in the woods.
Yes.
And
in the last episode, they go there, basically.
In the darkness in the woods, so we see it in dream sequences. If you've ever heard of...
The Red Room.
Okay, the Red Room. This is called the Black Lodge.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is where evil comes from, or manifests.
Yes.
And we don't know what these entities are. It's never explained. Thank you, Lynch.
Yeah. Yeah, is it hell? Are they aliens? What? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. It could be anything.
Yes.
They could be wizards.
Yeah. The point is it's evil.
The point is it is evil. And
so like one of the main antagonists sort of is like this fellow named Bob. And we find out later, he comes from this lodge and so on.
Yeah.
And it's been a few years. Is this from the show or from Fire Walk with Me? There's a moment where he sort of walks into a room and sort of walks towards the camera and sort of...
That's in the show.
That is in the show. I remember that was such a chilling.
Yeah.
It's just a man walking towards the camera, but it's so effective and so it's just like, holy hell, it just turned into a horror all of a sudden.
Yeah. And Frank Silver, the guy who plays Bob,
Yeah.
so he was originally one of the lighting guys, I believe, or a set dresser.
That sounds about right.
And
for a Lynch production.
Yeah. And when they were shooting the pilot, there was a shot that he didn't have time to get out of, so he just hid in the back of the set.
Oh, really?
And so you just see him sitting in the back of the set, and apparently David Lynch saw it and rolled with it.
Oh, that's great.
And
so he became Bob.
Brilliant. He became Bob.
Yeah, because he's not much of a character. He's just sort of this force that's hanging around. He's symbolic of the evil, I suppose you'd say. So Agent Cooper goes in, and a lot of wackiness happens. But long story short, he finds an evil doppelganger.
Yeah, which is
also played by
Bob.
Right. Yeah.
So he essentially, gets the doppelganger is Bob, who has taken Cooper's form.
Yes, but they have to escape. They get out. Oh, we have a nice happy ending, but then we realize that in the final shots, Agent Cooper's where he just headbutts a mirror, doesn't he? He starts laughing maniacally.
Yeah, laughing maniacally, and then you see Bob
in the reflection.
In the reflection.
Yeah, so that's the reveal that it's actually Bob who got out. Yeah. So the real Agent Cooper is stuck.
Yeah.
And there's a wonderful moment which they didn't really plan, but he said in the Red Room at one point, I think if I'm not mistaken, Laura Palmer says, "See you in 25 years."
Yeah.
And then hence the sequel show comes out almost exactly 25 years later.
It is pretty much 25 years later.
Yeah. And so that ends. And for anyone who is still watching the show, which at the time I think was not very many, oh my God, you cannot believe this ending. And I remember people going, the ending of Twin Peaks, right? And I was in primary school at the time. Yeah. And I mean, I would have bounced right off that show, I'm sure. I was too young to watch it. But I just remember people talking about it. Okay, that is quite an ending. And I think that built interest over time. But Lynch has an opportunity to make Fire Walk with Me, which, it's a prequel of the show, I guess, functionally. Yeah. It shows Laura Palmer, what happens to her, and the idea that it was quite horrible. It's quite confronting. And because now that he's been stuck with the reveal of who her murderer is, he says, well, might as well roll with it. So you have people like David Bowie in it. You have Chris Isaacs, because apparently that was going to be Carl McLaughlin.
Yeah.
But when he finally said yes to the project, it was too late, so they just kept Chris Isaac in.
Well, he didn't want to. Apparently, Carl McLaughlin didn't want to be typecast as, the Agent Cooper thing.
Yeah.
Which, I think from a career point of view, you can understand.
Yep. Because it was a pretty big sort of cultural phenomenon, or at least season one, or start of season two.
Well, Twin Peaks, when it started, it was the beginning of event television. People would get together, watch it.
Now, that's a really important point. We keep forgetting. I'm so obsessed with talking about Lynch, but what's going on around him? Because so much of Lynch, his work is devoid of context. Like, it's just Lynch doing his own thing.
Yeah.
But that's important. The ripple effect of Twin Peaks is, we can't overstate that.
No, it's almost like it's one of those points in television history. There is before Twin Peaks and after Twin Peaks.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you are going to without Twin Peaks, you wouldn't have The Sopranos. You wouldn't have so many other insanely quality films.
And the thing is, that there were TV shows that got people talking beforehand, but there was nothing at this level.
No.
And there was soap operas that were household, known across at least say the US, sometimes Australia as well. But this seemed to just resonate outwards in ways that shows haven't before.
Yeah.
So the idea that a network could fund a show that would bring huge audiences to your network, and that was a tool for you to use. It hadn't probably reached that scale, I think.
Yeah. So it was almost like an HBO drama at its best before HBO was around.
Yeah, and because it was hard to categorize too, because
Mm.
it was so many things.
Yeah.
But Fire Walk with Me, I think, I mean, it failed epically. People really didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I must admit, I watched it straight after Twin Peaks. And as is said by, what was his name again?
So Tom Huddleston.
Yeah, Tom Huddleston made the point, and I think he's spot on. If you watch Twin Peaks, season 1 and 2, and then watch Fire Walk with Me straight after it and expect it to be more Twin Peaks, you'll be disappointed. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy Fire Walk with Me.
And
If I went back and watched it now after seeing his filmography, I think I would appreciate it a lot more. So what works for you? You're more favourable to it than I am.
okay.
What works for you?
So when I watched Fire Walk with Me the first time, I again had that initial reaction.
Yeah.
So I was going, oh, but doesn't make. So yeah, I had that reaction, expecting Twin Peaks getting.
It's much darker.
It is much darker.
Very violent, and there's sex, drugs, nudity.
Yeah,
and all
it
sorts.
is. Well, it's the week before Laura Palmer dies.
Yeah.
Leading up to her death.
Yeah. So it's not going to be pretty, obviously.
It's it deals with sexual abuse, incest.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's
really, really dark.
quite confronting, and
Yeah.
the actors put in some really
Mm.
full-on performances.
Yeah.
It is not easy watching.
It is not.
It's not the hardest Lynch film to watch.
No, it's not.
but it's near the top.
Yeah. However, even though I'd seen it, I'd also then started, Lost Highway came out. I explored his other
Yep.
films, and
You see it in a different light, I suppose.
yeah, you need to watch Fire Walk with Me as a David Lynch film, not as an
extension of Twin Peaks.
an extension of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, because by plot, it is a prequel.
Yeah, it is a prequel.
But as a David Lynch film, it's him as an artist furthering his
Yeah.
art
Yeah,
and his techniques and so on.
and I think that's the reason why it's been reevaluated by so many people.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely. Well, okay. Here's a question then.
Yeah.
Because naturally you watch Twin Peaks the show and you might move on to Fire Walk with Me. Could someone just watch Fire Walk with Me without having watched the show? Do you think?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it functions by itself.
You don't need the show to understand the film.
Yeah, because most of the most iconic characters are not even in the film.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point. So yeah.
However, apparently they were, but they just ended up on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I did hear he released a lot of deleted scenes. He refused to re-edit, like an extended Lynch cut, but fans have, and there's a lot more which supposedly emphasizes the isolation of Laura Palmer and makes it even more depressing. So the Fire Walk with Me we got is the more approachable version. Because Lynch was conscious of it. He's like, oh, yeah, I have to cut this down. Because I think it went for about 3 hours or something.
Yeah.
Whereas the main one only goes for an hour 40 or 50.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's sub 2 hours. That's from memory. I could be wrong. Yeah, I definitely will go back and revisit that. I'm very happy to do that. But it is confronting.
It is confronting. It's also got some of the most brilliant Lynch dream sequences and moments in there.
Okay.
So, the strange magician boy with his grandmother.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's got, David Bowie's character in there.
There's some surreal stuff with him, I vaguely recall, yeah.
And again, a lot of this is sort of goes into Twin Peaks Return later on.
Yeah, he manages to thread the needle with a lot of those ideas, which is interesting. But yeah, it failed at the time. Understandably, there's no surprise that it failed.
But it's also been reevaluated.
Yeah, it's definitely got the respect I think it deserves now. Was his next project Lost Highway?